The big news this week, of course, I'm sure you heard, the big story is the threat of a credit downgrade to Europe. And so the European countries, about 15 European countries themselves or nations, are under threat that they're going to be downgraded by some major credit companies in America. So, and it's not surprising given there's everything going on here in the eurozone. Investors and just generally not particularly keen to keep their money in Europe anymore. They don't see it. They don't see it safe anymore. And if you pay attention to what's going on in the news recently, if you just read behind the lines, here's something that one major paper has said, and they're talking about. They're saying that President Mario Draghi is facing increasing pressure to. Let me just put this here for you. So what it says here is, okay, so he's facing increasing fresh pressure to put measures to stabilize the eurozone. Okay, stabilize the eurozone after the downgrade warning. Now, that's an interesting turn of phrase. And you go to the New York Times and listen to what those guys are saying. So just go up here, and here they're saying the hope among many European officials is that an accord along these lines will give the European Central Bank political cover to intervene more aggressively to ease the crisis, and looking for a quick fix solution here. Now, if you need to think about what they're really trying to say here is, and if you just read behind these lines, or between the lines, I should really say, they're really talking about quantitative easing. Okay, so that they're talking about the ECB, the European Central Bank, as headed by who? Yeah, Mario Draghi, the guy who was vice chairman for Goldman Sachs, managing director for Goldman Sachs, of course, at one point. What they're really saying is the ECB eventually is going to take out those print cartridges and start printing money. Okay, that's what they're talking about, printing money. So this again would come back to the same old problems before, and the same problems we had in the last crisis in 2008. We're seeing it again here in 2011, come 2012. Or basically, what's happening is these guys are thinking that printing money is going to solve the world's crisis. I mean, that happened in 2009 when the Fed started printing dollars. It's just started printing fiat currency, worthless currency, and that, of course, drove the dollar to just flush it down a toilet. Okay, and now they're thinking, okay, let's just print more money. Let the ECB print more money to basically buy assets and trying to solve the situation here, which really. And the thing is that so far the ECB has been pretty adamant, trying to play tough and say, okay, no, we're not printing, we're not going to be doing any quantitative easing or QE or whatever. But it seems that that's basically it's just tough talk. European leaders are about to get us into a bigger mess than we already are. Okay, and we've already seen that printing money, quantitative easing and all that kind of stuff doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. All it does, it just buys them more time. It just buys the euro and it buys the eurozone more time. And then what's going to happen? We've got countries right now like Italy and Spain. All these countries are massive liability to the whole of eurozone. People are saying, okay, the euro right now is going to be flushed down the toilet. It's just going to be the European zone is just going to blast into thin air. I don't think so. I think that what's going on here is that there is a political motivation here to save Europe, but they're going about it the wrong way. Okay, they're going about it completely the wrong way. They're thinking that okay, just let the ECB print money and essentially get the markets running again, like we did in 2009. So I'm highly skeptical of this. I think it's a big mistake. What we have here in Europe essentially is a fiscal union which is unstable. Okay, it was never really meant to work, and they think that trying to put a band-aid over it by printing fiat currency is going to somehow solve the world's crisis, and it's not. It's a huge mistake, and we're going to see what they're going to do eventually is going to be a complete error. What eventually is going to happen, all this debt and buying more debt and buying more junk is eventually going to catch up with Europe and Europe's leaders.